Hello, my name is Samira. Welcome to our economic channel, Max Economics. In the last year, policymakers around the world repeatedly told us that the inflation we were experiencing is just transitory. The increases in prices were temporary and we just needed to be patient to watch them go down. Concerned with the pandemic, we tried to believe them and had no impulse to verify if they were right. Sure, later on, as inflation became omnipresent, it became obvious that the idea of it being transitory is just another well-crafted excuse. Whenever worries were publicly expressed that inflation destroys the purchasing power, a policymaker replied that we should not worry, since inflation is transitory. In other words, the public figure stopped many people from taking protection measures against inflation. Don't worry that you're not able to buy what you need. This will pass, and somehow magically your money will recover their purchasing power. We should start by understanding how the inflation rate is obtained. It is based on the Consumer Price Index calculated for a basket of goods. Based on previous statistical data, the central bank of a country establishes a basket, formed out of hundreds of goods and services, in specific quantities. The current price index is calculated based on the content of the basket. This basket is built with statistical averages, so it does not overlap with an individual's basket of goods. For example, John's basket, which contains some imported goods, could experience a CPI increase even when the official rate of inflation is 0. The problem with the basket of goods is related to the fact that the central authority establishes its components. This means that an institution has the power to decide which item of consumption should be taken into account for the CPI. This gives the central banks a lot of space for the statistical manipulation of reality. For example, in the United States, the Fed does not include in the basket the prices of houses. The real estate market entered into a significant bubble last year, but the inflation rate does not contain this price increase. Could the transitory scenario be real? Can we expect to see money recovering its value? Not really. Even if the inflation would have spiked for a limited period, of 2 to 3 months, and would have been followed by more stable prices, the increase in prices would still be there. Probably, the central banks hoped that the price increases would stop till the end of 2021. With stable prices in 2022, they could have claimed that the inflation is gone. Reporting the prices of 2022 to the ones in 2021 would have allowed them to claim that inflation has gone away. Of course, this would be a lie, because the prices of 2022 already contain the inflation from the previous year. So, we can state that the transitory inflation was just a public lie. The reality is that even if the inflation would have a transitory phase of a few months, followed by levels close to 0, our purchasing power will still be smaller than before the inflationary period. The only scenario in which the transitory effect would be minimal is the one in which it would be followed by deflation. The market is still flooded with cheap money, so this is not possible. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.